Welcome to the podcast, Mo.
Thanks for having me, Asher. On se dit merci, merci, mon frère.
De
Merci.
rien, de rien. What part of the world are you in now?
Presently in Houston, Texas.
Okay,
Houston, Texas. Yep.
got you. Okay, so for some reason I was thinking you were well, you went to the Middle East. Your dad's in the like in the Middle East area, right?
Right. So my direct family still lives actually in Oman
Mm,
in Muscat.
mhm,
So that would be my two parents, my grandma, and my the older of my two younger sisters. They
mhm.
all still live in Muscat. So yeah, they're still there. Unfortunately, Oman recently experienced a hurricane,
Mm.
so there are a lot of relief efforts going on around there. So like typically Oman, whenever it does get hit by a hurricane, which is like once I want to say every 4 or 5 years, unfortunately,
Mhm.
it hits the northern coast
Yeah.
typically, and so that's where they live. And so they were fortunate, my parents at least, in their surrounding area was
Mhm.
fortunate to not have been damaged too badly
Yeah.
by the hurricane. However, a lot of the region on the northwest coast had been dealt significant damage. Like the roadways are still underwater.
Mhm.
It's been pretty poor. So there are a lot of relief efforts going on around there. So definitely like to spread awareness about the issue.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who are in a time of need right now, because the damage has been is extensive, and a lot of people are have had been displaced from their homes. So definitely, Cyclone Shaheen is a cyclone that caused all the harm. So if you have an agency, or if you know people in Oman that are trying to donate or help out in the area, by all means, like it's a good opportunity to do some charity for some lesser fortunate people on the
Gotcha.
other side of the world. But yeah, I'm in Houston, they're in Oman.
Gotcha. I'm glad you brought that up because like you forget how I forget how big the world is sometimes and how somewhere across the world may have like a um similar weather pattern as you might get like in the Caribbeans or the like what's close to America here. And it's like so many times unless you know somebody that's over there, you forget and you're just like, oh, okay, there's the thing with Haiti and nothing else is going on in the world. But it's like, no, like weather still happens and people still need help.
Absolutely, man. I think to add to that, I think we've become desensitized to a lot of the negativity that or a lot of the events that do happen outside of the United States,
Mm,
regardless of where we get our news sources from, because you just see so much bad, right?
yeah.
There isn't enough good being spread. You see a lot of bad constantly, whether you're on Reddit, you're reading the news, you're watching the news. There's just a lot of like negativity and controversial, or just controversy being stirred. And so you're thinking to yourself like, oh, another one of these again. So
Yeah.
your inclination is to turn away because
Right.
you've seen enough of it. And so because of that, you're not as inclined to learn about what's even going on outside of your backyard. And that's why we don't get enough of it. I mean, see, there are a lot of things that are going on around the world that require attention. I mean, whether you're talking about like the Uyghur camps in China, or you're talking about the the uh, the issues that are going on in the Middle East in general, not just in Israel and Palestine, but even in the Gulf Coast countries.
Mhm.
How you have a lot of issues in Africa that don't get highlighted. Whether it be the issues much of the African continent has been facing with coronavirus, as well as for instance, like I know in Sudan, right? Like which is my native country. I know for a fact that people have been struggling to survive outside of coronavirus, just because there's been a lack of shortage in bread, as well as like petroleum for your for cars.
Mhm.
It's been like that for a few years. You know, I have relatives that have to go wait in line for hours to fill up their gas tanks to go get bread from a bakery. I mean, it is if nobody tells you this though, you don't know.
Right.
You know, I have friends who had to flee, or I had friends who had to leave Lebanon, not flee, I should say, but had to leave Lebanon because the situation was becoming untenable over there as well. Um, it was becoming completely, you know, it was becoming a challenging situation to live in.
Right.
Um, and then, you know, I mean, you can find troubling issues everywhere, right? So I just thought I'd take a moment to share what was going on in the Middle East. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you giving me a platform to do that.
No problem, man. You're welcome. So
Right.
how's life in Houston? It's been a minute since I've seen you.
It has. I think you and I, and forgive me for breaking eye contact for a moment because I'm trying to
No, you're
think.
good.
It has been a while. So I think you and I last saw each other in person 2016.
Mhm.
Because you and I were both working at the Vogel construction project for CBNI at the time. It's no longer CBNI, now it's McDermott. You know?
Mhm.
Um, and we were working there, and I moved to Houston right after. So, and I've been in Houston since.
Mm.
I haven't left. I really enjoy the city of Houston.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the city of Houston, mainly because you know, it's really it's a big city with with a relatively slow to moderate pace of living.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, unlike the New Yorks of the world, right? Like I feel like I can control how fast or slow I want to live here, like or
Mhm.
how little or much I want to get done.
Mhm.
And you know, there's a lot of space. I'm a huge fan of having like space and just being able to do things at my own comfort. Like, granted, people complain about the driving, right? Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's a sprawl. It's a sprawl. Like the city is massive. Like, I'm not gonna kid myself. I can't sit here and say like it's not. You know, like I spend, I could easily spend on a daily basis driving 70, 80, 90 miles.
Mhm.
Like that's you know that's not out of the what's it called? That's not out of the ordinary. Um, but you know, the city has a great diverse population of people,
Mhm.
right? I believe it is about 63%. Um, you could say 63% minorities.
Mhm.
I'm not sure like what the correct phrase would be, but it's very diverse in terms of the people that are here. I believe like the demographic splits are like, you know, 22% Black, 18% Asian, and like 32% Hispanic. Uh, yeah, I want to say something like that. And then there's
Mhm.
like some smaller percentages of other ethnic groups here. So there's a lot of like there's a lot of diversity and you know diversity in thought, diversity in color, which makes it a great food city.
Mhm.
Like you know we go and I mean I'm always looking to try different foods around the city. I mean you can drive down Richmond Avenue and you could probably find a restaurant from 40 different countries there just on that one road. And so it's a great food city. And on top of that, there's a lot of opportunity for gainful employment here. Like I
Mhm.
think there's a good diversity in industry as well. You know, you've got the medical industry that has, you know, the medical center is considered like I believe it's the largest medical center in the entire world. There are a lot. It's a huge medical hub. It's getting bigger, I believe, in the financial sector. We know Houston is the biggest oil and gas hub in the United States, not just in terms of I believe maybe I want to say revenue, but as well as you know just simply the number of companies and the number of the number of companies and the number of opportunities to find, gainful employment here from that part of the industry, I think probably doesn't compare to any other part of the United States. Um, and like I said, great place to, great place for food, good opportunities to work,
Mhm.
really good real estate property and values. You can still buy a house inside the city limits for a decent house for 350K, right, inside
Right.
the city limits. I think that's relatively hard to do outside, yeah, in many metro areas around the United States. So, that's like, the city has a lot of perks, man. Like, I'm a huge fan. People don't like the weather during the summer. I grew up in it, so for me, the heat is not really an issue. As you saw, I'm recently married. So
Mhm.
my wife came down here, and the first thing she's like, "It's so hot over here. So hot. It's so hot." I tell her, I was like, "Yeah, it is hot, but guess what? It gets hot everywhere in the U.S. It doesn't get cold everywhere in the U.S.
Yeah.
So we don't get cold over here. So winters and springs here are also really nice. Like, aside from the winter freeze that we had in February earlier this year, we don't typically see temperatures drop below 40 very often. And a lot of
Mhm.
times, in the winter, we're hovering anywhere between 45 and 65. So it's not that bad. It's not that bad of a winter. You're wearing sweaters most of the time anyway. I
Yeah.
mean, but I hear people in Chicago wear shorts in that kind of weather. So, it's it's not too bad. But no, man, I love the city of Houston. It's been fun being here. Uh and I would be happy to stay in Houston for the
Mhm.
long term. Like, it just suits me. I just think I feel like it suits me and my personality and like what I want to do. Like, I have my friends here. Like, I play a lot of soccer. So there's a lot of great soccer that I can play here. Um, like I said, I love the food. It's kind of hard to, it's kind of hard to beat all that. Like, you have everything you
Yeah.
want. There's no real reason to like seek out different pastures
True.
in my opinion. What about you, Willow? Where are you at? Are you still in Georgia?
Yeah. I'm in Georgia. I stayed in Augusta up till 2019, then came back to North Georgia. Went out uh last year a bit to Puerto Rico, but came back again to Georgia. So hanging out for the time being.
Nice, man. Nice, nice. That's great.
But it's funny because I remember back when I first started working with CBNI, like I think it was 4 months in, I was supposed to go there for training. They had the office up in Fairbanks with the fab shop.
Hmm.
And instead of being there for 2 weeks, I ended up being there for a whole month. So I almost got like a mini vacation while still going to the office locally until I could get out on site. And I just remember like being able to explore different parts of Houston, like getting a city pass for the first time, going down to the space shuttle, the zoo, different things like that, and meeting more of like the engineers and other people there locally. And yeah, I could definitely echo a lot of those sentiments that you said. Like it's a nice city. And then coming back to Georgia, I definitely appreciate having elevation, having mountains, and just being like, oh, this is nice. Like the Midwest is nice, but it's like I like a little bit of rolling hills and mountains from time to time.
You know what? Like, that is, I'd say, like, that's probably one of the few downsides of living in the Houston area, is the scenery is not as nice as you would like it to be.
Mhm.
So if you're into hiking, you're into trails and lakes and all that stuff, like, it's not Austin. That's Houston is not Austin. A lot of people, if people could have Houston look like Austin,
Mhm.
I wouldn't be talking about cheap real estate in the city. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, but if you're willing to make a drive,
Yeah.
say an hour, there are a few lakes in the area within an hour. There are some, you could say, hilly spots within an hour outside of the city limits.
Yeah.
So you can still see all that. But I agree. It's not neighboring. It would, like, so, growing up in Oman,
Mhm.
we lived along the coastline of we lived along the coast, so Indian Ocean, Gulf of Oman, sort of thing. And Oman also has a mountain range in the north called the Hajar Mountains,
Mhm.
and so it was such an amazing sight. You had the ocean and the mountains meeting at the same point. So the highest and essentially, I mean, if you want to call it the lowest two parts of like the earth, the highest and lowest parts of the earth would come meet at the same point. It's a beautiful sight to see. But
Wow.
that's like an underrated aspect. People don't really realize what people don't realize what it's like to have something that scenic, that beautiful, and not have it. And
Yeah.
so it's an incredible realization. And I wish we had that here, but then again, like I said, I probably wouldn't be talking about cheap real estate prices.
Well, I mean,
So
it's funny, like you said, it's like you don't know what you have till it's gone. Or just
absolutely.
even for me, spending 2 years outside of Georgia and just being like, oh wow, the world is really different. I remember going to like Vegas for the first time and just out there in Arizona towards the desert and California. And it's like, oh, like they weren't kidding because you see so many movies and it's like nowadays it's CGI, but you see like the Wild Wild West movie and you see tumbleweed like going, it's like, oh, that's neat. And driving out there, I was like, oh, wait, that's a real thing. Like there's a thing of tumbleweed going down the road. And then go to the Grand Canyon. Of course, being engineer minded, like people are like, oh, did you go to the strip? Did you do all this in Vegas? I was like, yeah, I kind of drove it, but I really went there to see the Grand Canyon, and I drove out immediately to see the Grand Canyon and the Hoover Dam. And I was like, wow, that's cool. And initially, when I first thought about it, I was like, I'm not really impressed with the Grand Canyon, but when I think back on it, I'm like, it's very it's very quiet out here. Like it's eerily silent. And you just realize like, oh wow, there's nothing, there's this is just like air. Like all you hear is just like quiet. Every now and then you'll see a chopper from somebody doing a tour, but it's just you're just out there.
I mean, it's, I mean, we say small world, right? But in reality, the world is gigantic, and it's not just gigantic, but it's got incredible variety, from a vision, not just a visual perspective, but I mean, you look at the different ecosystems and the sort of just the landscapes. I mean, it's just so you talk about the Grand Canyon. It's just like an orange, vast mounts or like vast orange like desert slash mountainscape,
Mhm.
and then you drive a few hours over and you're on the like you said, you're on the Las Vegas Strip, and so you go from one of the busiest parts of the U.S. to like you said, eerily silent. There's nothing there, all
Mhm.
within a few hours. I mean, it's incredible to think about, man. I think the world in general is crazy. It's just to think about just the beauty in the variety that we have,
Mhm.
from mountains, deserts, oceans, forests, you name it. Like there's a lot of great variety and diversity in that. And I mean, it's incredible. Like I was just talking about, living in Oman and getting to getting to see what it's like over there. And then then you go, like, for me, I went to like Lubbock, Texas for college. So you're talking about tumbleweeds. Like that was something that I saw a lot over there. Like, funny story. My parents came for my graduation back in 2015. And my mother, you know, I was telling them, I was like, look, if I'll save you the money, send me some of that money as a graduation gift. I'll record everything, do whatever. Just don't come here. It's not all that.
Mhm.
Like, no, we want to attend your graduation. Yeah, yeah. Parents, they're proud parents, first one in the family. For not well, first of the kids, in the family to graduate. So, you know, I was like, I'm not going to take that away from you. You want to come visit, come visit for graduation and everything. And so they get my family, they get to Lubbock, Texas, go through the proceedings, graduation ceremony, yada yada. We get to the end of it, and my mom was like, "Son, if I had known that Lubbock, Texas, was gonna look like this with tumbleweeds, dust storms, and nothing else going on, I would not let you come here for school." Like, I was like, it's a good thing you didn't. It's a good thing you didn't come with me to orientation because I didn't have many other options at that point.
Mhm.
But you know, obviously, like you know, I'm happy to have like gone to Texas Tech and graduate from there. You know, it has you know gotten me to a lot of places where I want to this point. But I mean, I just say that to say that you know, just the world just looks different for a lot of people everywhere. And my mom's reaction was just it was hilarious because it was ironic because like she you know she's a lady from Sudan and they've got tumbleweeds, they got dust storms and all that stuff too. So it's no different.
She's like, I wanted better for you.
I didn't have. I tell you what, I wanted. I mean, I wanted better for me too, but I didn't have many options at the time because I wasn't exactly a very. I wasn't a studious high school student. So you know, but that was high school was like what 11 years ago for me.
Yeah.
I feel old saying that now, but
We're
yeah,
getting
man,
old. We're getting old, Bo.
we are, man. We are.
All right. Well, one question I always like to ask guests is this: who do you say you are?
Mhm. I have to think about that, man. That's who do I say I am? I definitely think that I'm a simple individual. I'm a minimalist at heart. You know, you saw you. I mean, I live with you. Man. I had a bed, I had a TV, and I had my clothes and I had my PlayStation. That was all I needed to keep myself entertained. Um, I'm a minimalist at heart. I would say I would say I'm a good person as well. I think that's one thing that we don't ever like. I think some people feel a bit shy in saying that they're good people. I believe I'm a good person. I would say I'm a good person. I want the best for people. I don't really find myself um I don't really find myself having ill will towards people. I would say I'm a good person. I would say I'm ambitious with regards to the things I enjoy and my passions. Um, I definitely believe that. And I've got some things that I'm going on that I've got going on in my life right now that would say that that I have high ambitions. Um, and yeah, if you I would I wish you'd have told me you were gonna ask me this so I could like think of a proper response. Because
Well, I mean, I think the response you're giving is proper. And sometimes it's like I debate telling people ahead of time versus like just letting them just just give whatever they have in mind on the spot, because then it's like you're not really having to formulate anything and be like, okay, this is everything that I had planned, because like you can change your mind at any point and it's not set in stone, although like we might record it, but it's like you are who you say you are, not other people. I mean, other people might have opinions of you, but that everybody's got an opinion.
no, I agree with you, and I think there's a lot more authenticity when somebody's responding to it on the spot. Um, but yeah, I definitely say like I'm minimalist. I'd say I'm a good person. I would say I'm ambitious. I think I think what you get with me is a genuine person.
Yeah.
I think that's to sum it up. I don't feel like I don't feel like I portray, and that's what when I have to say I don't feel like that, right? Because I can't. I've never asked anybody really like, oh, like, do you see me as like real or fake or anything like that? It's based on my own perception. But I always felt like I've been very honest with people because it for me, one, I'm not a good liar. I've never been a good liar. And so I'm okay with dealing with the consequences of the truth, whether something bad has happened or not. Like
Right.
that's what I've always felt. I've always felt that I could stomach the, I could stomach, whatever confrontations come from telling the truth. But I think I would feel very bad if I had to be confronted or be caught on a lie. And
Mhm.
so that's why I don't really lie, mainly because I don't know how. But
Mhm.
that's also a secondary aspect too. But I would say definitely, like, if we were to sum it up, like I would say I'm a very genuine individual. I've always found that, I've always tried to treat people right. I try not to, I try not to bring out the worst of the people around me,
Yeah.
because you don't want that. You don't want people to have lingering bad feelings about you as a person. I just don't think it's good. I don't think there's a good energy about that.
Right.
So I've always tried to treat people as best as I could, especially people I knew. Now, now granted, right, like in different settings, things change. So for instance, like on the soccer field, like I play goalie, so I shout a lot. And I ask, I'm very animated a lot of the times. And so I'd probably say like that's one of the few spheres where I'm kind of like maybe a different person. And that's only because I think the responsibilities that I have are slightly different. Or well, I should say vastly different. Like there's a lot of leadership that goes on with playing playing goalkeeper. I'd say another thing is like I would say I'm a leader in some senses.
Mhm.
I do believe in motivating people. I like seeing people come together and do something great. So like that's why I've always been, a guy who also likes to play a lot of team sports. I've never been someone who plays individual sports. Like I've never tried playing tennis or golf or anything like that. I mean, if you call having a caddy, if having a caddy makes it a team sport, then fine. But like, I mean, I view golf very much as an individual sport. but, but yeah, it's I like being a part of group successes.
Yeah.
I get much more personal satisfaction out of that. So, I've been on a soccer team up until recently. I was on a soccer team uh, who I had been with for 5 years, and we had been going up the divisions here in the what's called the HFA, Houston Football Association. It's the local. It's probably the biggest um, soccer league in the Houston area, and I'd wager to say probably even all of South Texas.
Mhm.
Biggest soccer league. There are about, I want to say, what about 300 teams that compete um, across varying divisions. So we started off in Division 2A when I joined, which is like the third lowest, and the team had worked its way up to the Premier, which is the highest division.
Mhm.
And the Premier is made up of teams with ex-pros, ex-collegiate players, even current collegiate players. Like it's the highest level of competition that you're going to probably play at an amateur level
Mhm.
in the Houston area. And so, it was really enjoyable being a part of that, because it was, seeing the team win after, against challenge after challenge, against improved competition year after year, was quite honestly a sight to behold, man. Like, it's amazing, like just watching everybody around you just get better. Some players, like, struggled a bit due to age and injury, but then in general, right, like when you play with better people,
Mhm.
you get better as well. So, you know, it's you would see the level of competition that you were playing against in 2A versus the level of competition that you're playing against now in the Premier League. It's completely different. It's quite fun to watch. Like I'll go watch. Like sometimes like we would play a game and I would stay after the game to watch like the teams after us play just because like it was fun to watch like high level. I would say high level. It's relative. High
Right.
level soccer, being played in front of you. So yeah, man, definitely. I'd say like back to the question. I'd say like I like being a part of like group successes. Um, but yeah, I would say like that's probably who I am, man. I think like you said, you know me. I like to live. I like to live a basic, simple life. You know, I believe I'm a genuine individual. I believe I want the best for the people around me and just the world in general. Like, uh, and I hope my actions reflect that. I mean, it's easy to talk about it, but I really genuinely hope that my actions reflect that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd say that's it, man. Like this,
I
there's a lot. I mean, I could go into a lot more, but
You're good.
yeah, it's that to sum it up, right? Like I guess a macro level view of it.
Mhm.
Probably who I am.
I like that because I would agree, and it's funny because I just remember back to when we were working together, and I think maybe once or twice I came to help out on the night shift, or we went along and you were showing me the ropes of how things were different from days to nights, and you didn't hesitate to call people out. It's like, "Oh, what are we doing in here? We just hanging out, putting our feet up on the desk. Oh, what are we doing? A bunch of nothing. Oh, that's right. Just be lazy again." And people were like, "Oh, I'm offended." It's like, yeah, you should be offended. You gotta be out here to work. Like, this isn't your house. Don't be coming in here to chill. And I was like, hey, sometimes you just gotta let people know, like, if you're here to do work, do work. Don't do nothing. And then all of a sudden act surprised when nothing is getting done. But
I think
I
yeah,
appreciate that honesty about you.
yeah, it's a blessing and a curse because sometimes the wrong I don't say the wrong personalities, but personalities who are not accustomed to it take offense to that. So then suddenly you're faced with a confrontation. So it's like, well, yeah, honesty is the best policy. It's not always the safest route. Because I remember getting into a few altercations, not physically, of course,
Mhm.
verbally with some people on site, just because of a disagreement in opinion or a difference in opinions, which is fine. I mean, we were all going to disagree. We're all going to view things differently, but you know, I won't absolve myself from everything though. Right?
Mhm.
There's a way in which you can deliver a message to people, and my younger self, and even now, right? Like I'm not perfect, but my younger self had a tendency to speak to simply speak without much tact. And so if somebody was messing around on the job or something like that, then I would articulate my thoughts without really filtering out the coarse, the super coarse stuff.
Mhm.
Like telling people like, man, like, well, you know, if I and my memory is kind of foggy, but there were some. I mean, I could see myself telling people like, oh, like, well, you're just bumming around, being lazy as bleep. I can see myself having said that back in the day.
Mhm.
Um, then again, it's not a corporate slash office environment, right? Like
Right.
when you're working out in the field, like a lot of
Right.
stuff, there's a lot more. There's a lot of stuff you can get away with.
There's a lot
Um,
of gray area there.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like I can't recall anybody getting fired, even reprimanded for having a verbal altercation with somebody. As
Mhm.
long as like personal insults weren't hurled, right? Like that discussed, sort of certain like protected statuses. We
Mhm.
can call them that. Like I don't recall anybody getting reprimanded or so much as even a slap on the wrist for something like that. But anyway, like you said, that's a great area. Way just just a completely different environment. I gotta tell you, man, I enjoyed that Vogel job. Like that was probably the most fun I've had in any particular role
Mhm.
um, in my career up until this point. Like the people were really enjoyable to be around. There was a lot of great camaraderie, especially on night shift. I don't know how things work. Day shift, I can see had a much more corporate sort of feel to it. Because there's a lot of like, there's a lot of like people hawking over you and like trying to keep tabs on what you're doing and how well you're doing, yada yada yada. I didn't feel like that was the case on night shift. I didn't feel like we had that sort of pressure.
Mhm.
So, there was a lot less of the micromanaging. Definitely got to shout out the local 28 Boilermakers
Yeah.
and that group. Those guys really took me in under their wing to show me how to handle our business and on night shifts. And so I think that was such an incredible experience, man. Like all those guys, really, really kind folks. A lot of them, really took to getting to know me as a person and really embraced me as part of that group. And I will always be grateful to those guys and that group of people because they they helped me. I really believe that their involvement in my life had a huge impact on who I am now because with the how it is like with union work,
Mhm.
there's sort of like a hard line that you draw between union members and non-union members when it comes to employment responsibilities and how you divide that up and everything. And those guys were like, hey, look, we got a job. You're here to help us get that job done. And they allowed me to like lead from the front or the back. And it was a true team effort. And like I've really taken that experience and like I want that to be like every experience I have like moving forward. Like
Mhm.
let's all like come together for a common goal. And like
Yeah.
that was the most seamless that was the environment where that occurred the most often, most seamlessly. Um, and I want that to be replicated wherever I go because those
Mhm.
guys, there were no egos involved. It really was like we have a job to do. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it the way we know how to do it. You're gonna help us get there, and we're always open to suggestions. We're here to discuss. We're here to learn from one another. Like it was, man. Like if hindsight is 2020, right?
Mhm.
If if I thought that there was a a legitimate career stepping stone for me working in that part of the industry, I probably would have gone back there because I just really enjoyed being with those guys and everything. But there's just so many challenges, man. Like it was, you know, I even get recruited. I even got like somebody I got somebody a recruiter reaching out to me on LinkedIn. I had a recruiter reach out to me on LinkedIn a few months ago. Time has turned into one big block for me since COVID. So
Mhm.
I'm not. I may not be correct on the accuracy of when this recruiter reached out to me. They're like, hey, I see you have like experience at Vogel. Would you be interested in working at like one of the Tennessee Valley Authority facilities? And I'm like, look, man, let me be honest with you. I have no intention of going back into nuclear. Like, sorry, just like no disrespect, no offense, all the whole nine yards. I just can't see myself going back there right now.
Mhm.
Um, and but that's only because like I just don't know what kind of steps we're going to take with the country. I don't know what kind of steps the country is going to take with nuclear,
Right.
regardless of how clean it is. I mean, you see the kind of how bureaucratic it is to
Yeah.
build your facility. I mean, like if I need a well done, it takes like it's a 2-day process before I can even begin welding.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's very cost intensive, and I don't know how much I don't know how much enthusiasm there is to get another nuclear facility up and running. I mean, I think they scrapped VC Summer.
Yeah.
So that was, that was further ahead than Vogel was. I think, at least. I'm not sure if it was at the time they scrapped it. I'm not sure if it was.
Yeah.
But the point is, it started earlier. So, I don't know, man. It's you want to talk about career pivots. I assume you left nuclear.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, tell me, like, are you out of like engineering as a whole, out of the industry as a whole? Like,
I have been this year. I'm I'm looking to get back into it because it's like there's a lot of engineering that I miss. And like you said, definitely having that team aspect. And I guess mainly outside of the team aspect for engineering is being able to solve those complex problems. Like a lot of times, like you said, hindsight's 2020. And it may not have been fun in the moment just to be like, man, okay, we're working 6 days, we're doing 10, 12, 14 hours, and everybody's butting heads. We're trying to get through this. But it's like, I remember from like 2016 was rough. Like a lot of the years were rough, but for a little while there, like, I think 2018, 2019 got better, and being able to work with less micromanaging and kind of getting to see the other engineers on the other side, like the general contractors, and just forming a better relationship with them. It gave me a stronger appreciation for the work. But like you said, just the amount of time it takes to put in to gain the public's trust, to do our due diligence, to do it right, it it wears on you a bit, and it takes a really strong patience. But just understanding that there's a vast opening to engineering, and it's not just nuclear, it's not just construction. It's like you have thousands of companies around the world, around the US, like there are options, and it's just taking the time away to evaluate things and look at it like, okay, like there's more room for me here. Like I could do almost anything. But like just having a minute to kind of say, okay, like what is it about engineering that I enjoy? And it's like, yeah, I enjoy the people, I enjoy the challenge of solving these problems. And that's the part that I've missed this year.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend, if you, sorry, I gotta some.
You're good. You need a minute, or you gotta wrap up?
No, it's my computer's battery is a little low.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, I'm gonna see if I can pull out the chart. I wasn't expecting it to drop this soon to the percentage it's at. So that might just be a cue from the manufacturer, be like, "Oh, time for you to upgrade." But yeah, give me just a moment. Let me just take.
All right. You're good.
Planned product obsolescence, the bane of our existence in this social media era. Yeah, companies make a product with the expectation that you will renew it every few years, as they send you updates and make your software, and sorry, not software, we make your hardware operate more slowly, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. It's the biggest scam ever.
Yeah.
I have an iPhone now. Only because after years of trying to be convinced by friends, I acquiesced and I relented to it. I loved my Samsung. I had a Samsung Galaxy S7. I feel like when I exchanged that phone for an iPhone, I felt like I ended my relationship with the love of my life for a one night stand. That's what I felt like. By the way, I still feel that way to this day. And my phone's coming up on 2 years now. Mm-hmm. I can't wait for the crap that they're gonna do to it for it to suddenly become inoperable.
Mm.
You know, I don't know. I had my Samsung. I had my Galaxy. I had my S7 for, I want to say, 3 years, almost four, working perfectly fine. I had absolutely no issues with it.
Yeah.
So and it probably was coming up to, it was probably coming to its the end of its lifetime, but I didn't feel like I was being pressured into buying a new phone. there's definitely a feel good aspect of it,
Yeah.
uh, that I don't have with these Apple products. But anyways, I can't,
Yeah.
I I got to deal with it.
Right.
Um,
As
but yeah,
as
man.
I was gonna add to it and be like, I remember the first smartphone I had was like the Samsung 2.
Yeah,
And that thing, I feel like it lasted 4 years until it was like on its last legs. But I was like, man, this is good. And then I went up to the 5 and I started having problems with it immediately. And that was like that's where I saw the okie doke. I was like, oh, I fell for this, where like you go in, you start dealing with people in the stores and they're like, oh no, you can't buy it today and bring it back the next day. It's like we got to charge you to put it back on the shelf. We can't do that. And I was like, wait, what? You got to charge me for a phone I just bought full price from you to take it back because it's having issues. Like you're you're kidding, right? Like you're not serious. And they're like, oh yeah, like dead serious. And I'm like, wow, okay,
yeah. That's just how it works these days, I guess, man. Unfortunately,
yeah.
I wish things were better.
Well, I mean, there are better phones out there. At least the brand that I'm going with now, it's still an Android phone and it's working. I think the last one I got, I changed it because last year I was in Puerto Rico and for some reason it's, even though it's a US territory, it's still considered technically out of the country. And the way Verizon was, they were like, oh no, since it's not one of our Verizon phones, we don't cover it outside of the country. And I'm like, but I'm still in the country. I'm just off the mainland. But it's like I came back stateside and got a Samsung, and I was like, you guys were doing good for a moment, but now you guys are starting to be a little extra. I don't know if it's like to compete with Apple or what it is, but there's nothing wrong with making something good and giving that to people and letting people just enjoy what you've made and be like, hey guys, like this is something good. Like these guys know what they're doing.
Yeah. So
Anyways,
what is, yeah? I guess it is what it is at this point. But
yeah,
I mean, it's gonna be the way. It's gonna be the way the future. It's gonna be the way, just phones and products are in the future. I mean, you see what they're doing with streaming platforms now for television, for shows. I mean, you have to subscribe to like 4 or 5 different platforms now to get what you want. Like, there's some good and bad to that,
mhm,
because if you're like me,
mhm,
yeah, then all you need is like ESPN Plus
yeah,
and Fubo TV, if you really want to push it, because I can spend all day watching soccer.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't have TV shows like my wife loves Grey's Anatomy. She's like, yeah, I'm on season like 20 or whatever. I'm like, first off, they're on season 20 now of Grey's Anatomy. Like, that stuff been going on since I was in middle school or elementary school. I was like, cool. Like, she has her shows. Me, no such thing.
Mhm,
I don't have like favorite shows. I actually like to rewatch stuff that I used to watch, just because there's like a nostalgic element to it. But I don't like
yeah,
have to know that like I follow today. Um, like continue, like I'm not like I don't like have a daytime or nighttime television show that like I'll plot my my behind in the couch to watch.
mhm.
With sports though, completely different. I can watch. I swear, I'll turn on my TV and I'll go to the ESPN app, and because I have ESPN Plus, I can watch all kinds of soccer. I even watch USL League One. which is
Mm.
like the third division of soccer here in the United States. I'll watch that.
Wow.
Like that's just how much I like watching soccer. So for me, I have everything I need with ESPN Plus and so on, and a few other platforms. But it's becoming like it's just everything nowadays is becoming a money grab. Is the point I was getting at.
Yeah.
Anything is just becoming a money grab. Like before you could, before you had cable, and if you had cable, right, you could if you wanted to, like you had a base set of package, you had a base package of channels, which like say like 150, and you could add on to it or take away from it if you wanted to. If you wanted like Showtime or HBO or yada yada yada. Yeah. Nowadays though, right? Like I use Grey's Anatomy as an example because my wife was talking about it yesterday. They took some episodes, or like Hulu bought the rights to some season.
Mm.
Netflix has the rights to other seasons. Now you got to like buy both. You have both to like watch. I'm like, y'all, I got like, we how it's so ironic, right? It's so funny.
Yeah.
Like we go through like corporate training modules that are like anti-collusion, anti this, anti that. There's no way you can't tell me. There's no way
Right.
that like those people didn't get together and were like, hey, look, let's great new season of Grey's Anatomy is out. Like let's split the season or something. Like I
Right.
don't I don't
Right. Right.
I don't think that I it's to me it's very dubious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I laugh at that when it's like, have you ever seen somebody taking a bribe, or have you ever seen somebody hiring their kin to work for the company? It's like, is this a real question? Like, there's this person's brothers, cousin, uncle, nephew, daughter, sister. It's like, it's a family business. What are you talking about? Like,
Cousins, brothers, and in-laws. That was the
right.
nickname of our company. Like, oh Lord. I mean, what can you even do about it? Like what? It's just it, it's like if I just want there to be cameras in the rooms when people decide to come up with this stuff. I just want to be a fly on the wall, see like what people are saying. I want to hear what people are saying and see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's funny when corporations try to insult people's intelligence. It's like, come on, like you got to do better. Like you got to do a little better than
Yeah.
that.
Sometimes it might be one of those nod wink wink, like if they had it in podcast form or video form like this, they'd just be like, and this month we're going to, yep, that's what we're gonna do, folks. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Good thing, good thing, good thing. And then they
Yeah.
like break the fourth wall and they're just like, nothing to see here.
Yeah. Move it right along, huh? Man,
But how's married life been for you, and how are things been since you left like the Georgia area, moved back to Houston, kind of getting back into the corporate world and things?
married life. I'll start with married life. All right. It's so much fun, man. So my wife and I were long distance the whole time. So
Mhm.
we've been together for 3 years now, but like leading up to our wedding, we'd been together for over 2 years, and it was all long distance. Um, Married life is nothing short of amazing. I I have too much fun. I won't even lie. I have too much fun. Like I always have something to look forward to, and it like all praise is due to God, man. My wife is an incredible woman. Really lucky to have her. You know, I lucked out. I don't even know how. I just did. And it makes for a great day to day, week to week, month to month life. We always have something to look forward to. We're always actively planning to do something. Um, you know, we went to the beach a few weeks ago here. We go and we went and visit our friends in Austin, got to see a little bit of Austin. We're always trying to plan to do something. So that's been enjoyable. I'm improving my handyman skills
Mhm.
because I'm putting together furniture and doing stuff around the house. My wife is short. God bless her. She's like 5 feet tall. And I'm like a bit over 6 foot. And she's like, yeah, can you like reach up here and do this, reach up there and do that? So yesterday she had me put like strip lights, like those LED strip lights around our
Mhm.
room. And I'm sitting here like, you know those like those inflatables at like car dealerships that go around like this. I'm sitting here, I'm sitting here like that the whole time trying to reach up and put things put like up on the wall. Uh,
Oh,
but yeah, man, it's been great having such a great life partner. Um, we cook together. We are putting our house up together. It's been enjoyable, man. There's not like one. There's nothing really. There's nothing bad about it. Like, I'm super happy right now. Words can't really describe it. It's just
mhm.
there's a fulfillment that you have. That's for the married life. Corporate life, you know, it has its good. Like everything, it's got its pros and cons, right? Like in the field, we're making a lot more money. It's a lot more enjoyable, but it's a lot harder on your body. You're out there in steel toe boots, walking around on steel, on hard rock for hours throughout the day. I mean, you're sweating, you're tired, like you're physically, it was a physically demanding role. There's no doubt about that. Um, working in the corporate, working in the more corporate role though, a lot more bureaucracy, I'd say, a bit more politicking. Well, it depends on I didn't there's more bureaucracy for other people. There was less so for me. Um, a lot more politicking, but the role I'm in and the group I'm in now, right? So really the group I've been in for the past 4 years, because you know how it is with the training program, like you're bounced from place to place. So, but the group I've been in with for the past 4 years, I mean, great group of guys. And I mean, well, because we're like we're like a small group within the department. So like it's about five of us. We do simulations. Great group of guys. I'm the youngest one there though. Like we got like I'm the youngest at 27. We've got one guy who's in his 60s,
Mm.
and we got some other people. We got like the boss is in his 40s. One of my other coworkers is in his 30s. So it's there's a bit of a range in the ages there. But it's been great working there. It's been great working in engineering. It's very technical. It's very technical. You would enjoy it, but there's a lot less of the people interaction involved.
Mm.
It's a lot less of the social dynamic to it. I spend a lot of time in front of a computer, putting together a simulation. My interactions with a lot of with people to get the job done are not as high as it would be if, say, I was still working at Google. So it's, like I said, it's got its pros and cons. Um, I'm looking to probably pivot out of super high technical engineering, though.
Mm.
I think, low ceiling in terms of potential career earnings, as well as even career progression. You know, I would say there isn't as much potential for advancement as you would like, or as at least we were led to believe when we were in college.
Mhm.
So I will be looking to pivot out of that sometime in the near future. Um, I'd say also that oil and gas in general is, even that it's an industry that the world in general is moving away from. So within the next, not within our lifetimes,
Mhm.
I think, but I think we're going to see a lot more changes in the landscape of energy production and distribution. So renewables and cleaner energy production is going to be something that a lot of people um, are going to be flocking towards. And I think there are opportunities for me in that as well, potentially. Um, and we're talking about nuclear earlier. I don't know if nuclear is going to be in that is going to be a prominent player in that, but I think a lot more solar, hydroelectric, hydrogen generation,
Mhm.
those are gonna be things that a lot of things that people look towards in the future some more. But yeah, man, I'll let you know when I have something more concrete in the works as far as like my transitions. Right now, I'm doing what I'm still doing at McDermott or
Yeah.
CB9, previously known as. What I'm doing I'm still gonna do what I'm doing at McDermott, but we'll see what the future holds, man. Things could change within an instant. We'll never be too sure.
Yeah. That's
But
good.
yeah, no, thanks for asking these questions, man. It has been a long time, and I'm very appreciative of you inviting me to be on the It's My Time podcast.
You're very welcome.
It's all our time, right?
Yeah.
Always our time.
Oh, one last question I'll ask you, and we'll leave on this.
I appreciate it.
Are you who you said you are?
Am I who I said I am?
Are you still who you said you are?
I believe so. I mean, I had to think about it when you asked me, but I genuinely believe that I am a genuine individual who wants the success of the people around me as much as I want the success of myself, as success for myself. And I do believe I'm a minimalist at heart. Look, like I said, I was telling you I was putting up strip lights in our room, right? I would never put up strip lights in my own room. I don't need that. If I could, what's funny? Before I hop off, I was living with my brother before my wife moved down. All right. My brother and I, we had our dining table was a little Walmart table. We had a coffee table from IKEA. We had our couch in the living room, and we had a TV and a PlayStation. That was our living room. We had some decorations like that he brought, but other than that, it was, it was such a basic setup. In my bedroom, I had a bed, a nightstand, and my desk to do work from home stuff. I believe the minimalist part is gonna be what sticks with me for the rest of my life. I don't think that'll ever change. I think that's probably the one. I hope it never changes, at least, because I prefer having money. I don't have to. I won't do anything. Like if I had the choice, like our living room wouldn't look the way it does right now, just because I like having things very simple. But yeah, I definitely believe I am who I said I am. I can't see myself. I can't see that changing. I believe I gave you an answer that was from the heart, and I don't think that'll change anytime soon.
I agree with you. Thank you for the time.
Hey, Monsieur Azer, mon frère, mon ami, merci beaucoup. I don't know how to say for having me, but I say in Spanish, gracias por tenerme en tu programa. But thank you, man. It was really nice catching up. You have a great personality, and you have a great sense for having great and solid people around you, man. I wish you always nothing but the best, and I hope that, like you asked me about who I think I am, I hope that quality stays with you for the rest of your life, because that's a rare and positive quality for people to have, to know who to have around them. And I wish you nothing but the best. I wish you nothing but success, and I do hope to be on your podcast again in the near future with some newer developments, hopefully in my life, and as well as yours.
Thank you.
Monsieur Azir, merci beaucoup. Once again, thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate you having me on.
Yes, sir.
Take care, man.